Yeah, so good morning, everyone who has joined us for this, our very last weekly broadcast of 2021. We're just saying there to John and Dal, where has the time gone? And effectively, it now has almost gone in 2021. So morning, Dal, morning, John. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So John, where has the time gone?
You know, it's really weird. I'm getting comfortable at 2022 for writing because of some planning, but like, whoa, this is, the end of the year already. There's some things it's like, I thought we were going to do that this year. It's like, well, okay, this year's over.
This year is effectively over, and it does not seem that long since we were doing the yearly update for 2020. That is the bizarre thing. I can nearly remember preparing the slides for last December.
Okay, so you passed the memory test. This is good. Alzheimer's is not an issue. So.
Not yet. Sorry, hear you again. So again, officially welcome. So for those who attend on a regular basis, this is a broadcast that we do for 30 minutes every Thursday. Myself, David Johnson, CEO of LEOcrowdfunding, equity property crowdfunding platform, and my resident co-host, Mr. John Corey. I'll let you introduce yourself, John, in case anyone's new on this week.
John Corey, Property Fortress, landlord, US, UK, started in the early 1980s. Also tech guy, been on, part of my first job was to be online, and that was in 1982. So been there, done that, have a few t-shirts, and they probably have holes in them by now.
Very good, very good. And still over in the US of A, and nice early morning start for you over there. So thanks once again for getting out of bed. You've got a few weeks now where you can just relax and take it easy. That's
right. My wife will be happier.
Yeah, definitely. And delighted today that Dal Ray, our investor portfolio manager at LEOcrowdfunding, has joined us. Good morning, Dal.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me again. Great to be on this final broadcast before we break up for Christmas. To give a nice little send-off.
Yeah, no problem. I know you've got a few insights to share with the attendees regarding our investor base, so we'll get on to that in a few moments. Yeah. So we dispense with the market update this week just to save a little bit of time. I was tempted to bring out the crystal ball once again and put it on the slide for John's benefit. He loves the gazing in the crystal ball, but John, we'll go straight to.
So you put it in this question.
So you see, I put in this question slightly, yeah. So it's just that's my way of still getting it in. But yeah, I suppose a lot of people, obviously that is the thought currently in the world of property. What are key lessons that you've learned in 2021, and what will you be focusing on in 2022?
So interesting enough, I don't think much has changed in the year. People are still born, people are still dying, people are still going to university, people are still going out to work. A lot of things are the same. We're going to gather for the holiday as much as people can with COVID, and we'll go through that sort of cycle, whatever the process is for each family, each person. So most of the housing requirements, if you're on the residential side, haven't changed. People are still doing whatever they're doing. We did see a number of people move out of the city centers at the start of COVID, and we then saw a bit of an influx going back the other way. People are finding their feet when it comes to how much space they need. Are they working from home? What does that mean for their data network? What does that mean for maybe spare room and sound and all that? Some people have discovered that they have mobile sound studios called a car, and the number of broadcasts you see where people are in the car, which is perfectly fine as long as they're not driving. So I think more of the same. When it comes to sort of crowdfunding, what's interesting is it is becoming more accepted and at the same time more niche. Some of the euphoria from 3, 4, 5 years ago is definitely over, and the platform choices have narrowed, but yet people are now starting to see money coming back from their early investments. So we're starting to see a lot more second, third, fourth investment when it comes to either the person with the cash or the person with the project. So again, more of the same, more experience, just steady as she goes, do your homework, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think there's an element of maturity in the crowdfunding market, both in the peer-to-peer side and the equity side. As you say, numerous platforms have had projects come to maturity, and therefore investors are starting to sort of see the reality that they've invested money. It's now come back to them with whatever the return on investment has been for them, and I suppose that grows confidence, John, in what is still a relatively new industry.
It does. It's sort of like first date, second date, whatever analogy you want to use of you do something, it finishes, you get some feedback. In engineering, you would call this feedback loop. You might say minimum viable product. So people, they're no longer virgins to the process, whether on the raising money or funding or investing side. And they're starting to say, okay, I get this. I understand how this works. It either works for me or it doesn't work for me. I've made some money or whatever. So it becomes, then it sort of fades into the, life is normal. It becomes the new normal. So for property investors with cash, it's definitely an option, and it's a tried and tested option now on a case-by-case basis. You must do your homework and read the documents, but fundamentally it's an option for people.
And in terms of 2022, are you adjusting your strategy, your own personal investment strategy in any way, or what are your kind of your key focuses for the incoming year?
I don't see any change, actually. Maybe I'll tilt a little bit more towards one strategy or one other alternative strategy when it comes to spreading the money around, but I've been pretty much investing in most deals that I like and using smaller amounts of capital across deals. So I might choose to put more into deals with people that now have been tested. They've done the second, third, fourth deal. So again, using a platform rather than going out running around myself. In the COVID world, it's a whole lot easier just to get on the keyboard to look for a deal, and someone else done the heavy lifting to bring it forward. So,
okay, good point. Okay, so we'll obviously continue with our Ask John, and next year, if we're very successful, with a lot of people sending in questions for John to use his wisdom and his experience in helping people in the industry. So we had mentioned for a number of weeks that John and I were co-hosting a fundraiser live boot camp, is what we called it. It was 3 intensive days. It was 9 a.m. through to 7 p.m. For 3 days. We actually, John, had a really good event, really beneficial. Some really good quality property developers, with 15 developers attended virtually every day for the sessions. They all paid to be there. Yeah, what was your sort of key takeaways from this, or what did you enjoy most about the boot camp?
So from what I know, everybody that paid was there every day. We even had one person who always goes surfing on a Thursday, and they showed up on day 3, the Thursday, from their surfing vehicle. They have a camper van that they use as their base when they're surfing, and sure enough, we were there at the beach. They were participating. I liked the format. We had people, I think, across 4 countries. We had, obviously, the person surfing changed venues during one of the days, and it worked really well. When it comes to format, when it comes to the content, we've had numerous thank you messages or other indications that people took the time to say, hey, this was really good. This worked for me. This covered a lot of things I wanted to learn. This was value for money. There were all kinds of positive comments about it was on the money, or it was what they expected and well worth the time. It was 3 days. It was intensive. It was meant to be that way. And yet there was no hassle when it comes to the overheads. I think there were 3 people, 2 guys and a lady, who all had like quick parent duties that they had to nip out for. And so they would turn the camera off, go dress whatever it was they had to do for picking up or dropping off or something a child, which means this worked really well for them because they could participate and still not have to drop the ball when it comes to one of their parenting duties. So
yeah, and I think for me, probably the highlight session was when we brought on 4 of our fundraisers and let them interact with the attendees, just regarding their experiences, sort of where they were before they met either you or I. What we have managed to help them do in terms of fundraising and what their plans are for the future. And we had Tina from Target 5 was on, Rosie was on from Newman Rose, we had Susie on from the project down in the Old Woolen Mill, and Hitesh from Creation Tech. And I enjoyed that, John. Just from, it was actually satisfying to think that we, as a platform, and obviously you're not part of the platform other than advisory role, but from our point of view, when I say we, the platform, we met these people, some of them 2 years ago, started a crowdfunding journey, and now they're on sort of flying our flag in terms of their experience and the fact they're able to raise funds successfully and legally from the platform.
Yeah, just some fun observations. 3 out of the 4 you just listed are female. There's definitely a good balance, I think, between male and female-led projects. 2 of the 4 are about to pay back for one of their early projects, independent of each other, but they're both finishing up and about to pay back. All 4 have raised money. We've got anything from planning to development to HMO to sort of executive home versus a starter home. So it's a good diversity. And as a passive investor, that's one of the things I do. It gives me an option to look at different things. It gives me an option to back different project sponsors, as I call them, the people leading the projects, and geographic spread, strategy spread, team sort of spread. So it was quite an interesting little panel. And I know a couple of the people who were attendees really liked hearing from the panelists and what it was like to raise money and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And the structure of the 3 days was really around these sort of 6 steps that we laid out. 6 steps to raise funding legally: deal structuring, onboarding your deal, compliance, pre-launch, launch, and investor relations. And it was actually good to have time to deep dive into some of these topics, particularly compliance, the onboarding of the deal, how to shout your deal out and deal with investors. So I find it beneficial to actually have time to talk in detail and also answer questions. And certainly, I think over the 3 days, there were so many questions asked, and yet so much value gets provided when you deal with questions in slow time.
Yes, it didn't feel slow, but it did feel thorough. So I think it flowed well from that point of view. And the takeaway I sort of wasn't surprised by, but it did come up again, is people discovering literally the light bulb going off or going on, saying, oh my God, now I understand equity. Or so the equity you don't have to actually like sleep poorly about, because it's not an obligation to pay back. It's they're with you in the project as equity investors, rather than being a lender that's pointing their finger. So I thought that was enlightening. Again, this was in particular one person, very successful, done a lot of deals, and they're not quite used to equity now, but all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is so much better.
Yeah, and I was reminded of the wee warning at the bottom that, of course, LEOcrowdfunding and Property Fortress do not provide financial legal advice. But what we did do was bring on a lawyer, bring on someone who specializes in senior debt and brokering, bridging loans. So we actually brought in the expertise when we wanted to deal with specifically with complex subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that worked well, particularly the lawyer. I thought the lawyer did a great job. So and we do plan to run those again next year as part of our strategy for next year, is to run more of those. And I think above all, John, what it does is it leads to better informed fundraisers for the platform. People understand better the whole process and the journey. I think that's a big plus. So
Did
what we
you
have not
pick these 4 because the number of investors is almost the same? I mean, it's quite a spread, and okay, there's a little bit of difference, but we're in the mid 20s and 30s most of the time for all the deals.
Yeah, no, that's sort of our numbers, because I've got the next slide is the next. These are all the ones that were done in 2021, so they were picked just really because they're the ones we funded. So, so Dal, you're obviously come on board as our investor portfolio manager, and these bar maybe the first 2 you've been involved in these since then. So these are the deals that we have successfully funded. When we say funded, we mean we have raised the money to allow the project to start. and there are 3 projects that are very, very, very close to now paying back to the investors. But Dal, how have you enjoyed dealing with investors and being on board these projects?
Yeah, I mean, I joined Leo in July, 6 months ago now, and yeah, I got involved with a lot of the projects. The more recent, obviously, Citygate, Hightown, when I just started. And I was fortunate enough to just after lockdown to get onto these site visits as well. So managed to get onto Duke Street, so the stuff in Brighton and Bristol as well, Church Road. So Ed, Miles, Church Road and Bridge Road and West Buildings as well. So it was nice to get out, during kind of just after lockdown, actually see the fundraisers, meet the investors firsthand. Yeah, really enjoyed it, and collectively, I think it was beneficial for both parties as well.
Okay, very good. And what's on the screen now is the ones we did. Duke Street, Target 5, we raised 169,000 from 38 different investors on this one. Old William Mill, I think, is our highest investors engagement to date, 57 investors, 111,000 raised for what was a planning uplift project, and a really nice project. And you can go to our homepage and click on any of these and see the summary and download the equity offer documents to give you an idea of the detail if you want to do that. Hightown Lees was a further project from Creation Tech, 88,000 raised, 27 investors. Citygate was 56 apartments up in Leicester. And then beyond that, the last more recent month style, we've done a behind the curtain, as we call it, or a private raise, which means when it was open for investment, it was not viewable by the general public on our homepage. This developer brought the project and brought their own investors, and it was 400,000 from 4 investors. And then Dal, you mentioned Bridge Road and Church Road. You were actually on these site visits before these went live and actually met investors on these sites.
Yes, yeah. So we managed to get out to the sites, as I mentioned, just after lockdown. We had investors and potential investors for Church Road and Bridge Road at the time that came and visit the site, and it was nice to kind of see projects firsthand, as I mentioned, and also meet the fundraisers as well, especially from the investor point of view. And I think we have had various site visits prior to this, but I think as a whole, it was kind of a first project, near finished, Avon Valley, and then it was great to see kind of Bridge Road as a new project and Church Road being the planning uplift project that was due to come on the platform shortly. So yeah, it was certainly nice to get out there. It was myself and Tony managed to go out and meet everyone in the team.
So those 3 that you just highlighted were actually the same developer, right?
It was, yeah. So Ed Miles and family, so Beaumont Homes and West Country Partnership. So Avon Valley, obviously, that was the first project that they came on board with. Fabulous project, nice little town just out of Bristol. And then we got to see kind of the other end of it, where it's a brand new project from him, Bridge Road, really run down property that needed renovation, and obviously a vanilla type project, just kind of build 2 houses ground up. And then obviously we got to see Church Road, spectacular views, planning uplift, as I mentioned, and yeah, it was nice to see all 3 projects, all different variational projects, but yeah, equally really nice to get out there and see these.
It was interesting because I know David and I had one of the people who was on that visit, a lady investor who really enjoyed being able to get on site and see these and meet some of the other investors and meet the developer and meet yourselves from Leo. And this is, I think, a clear example of a developer using the platform and the whole process to really build their brand and identify who's interested, create a an opportunity for people to see the types of projects in the region that they work on. So these are all in the Bristol area. And it's taking up some of the soft value of using crowdfunding, where you can network and promote and share in a way that's conducive to funding the next project.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, David, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's play this video first, and then we'll comment after this video. So this is a video of the Avon Valley one you're just talking about. So that's just it's just a short video, and I think it will let the attendees get a feel for this project that is now complete, and they're just waiting on the legals before being able to pay back to the investors.
Hello everyone, my name's Ed Morgan. I'm here in Bitton. I'm a director of the company, and I'm the point man behind this project. The project's called Avon Valley Apartments. We're hoping to finish the project in the next 2 weeks. It's been an interesting project from start to finish. We've dealt with many challenges, but as always, we've ploughed through, and we're at the depth of the project, and we're proud of what we've created here. The site visit went well. We showed everyone around. There were questions about the project. It was nice to see people who were interested, and I was able to give them little bits of information about the project that you might not know or think. People invest in people, so without these site visits, it's hard to build that connection, which we're all trying to achieve.
Yeah, so just as John and Dal were saying, it's the benefit of these type of site visits really does allow for developers to build their brand, which is very, very good.
Yeah.
We've actually got another one here we're going to show just briefly. I'll not play the whole one, but this is the PLYHILL view from HITACHI Creation Tech. And this is, again, gives an example of a project that is literally about to pay back, literally waiting on, again, drawdown from legals. But again, we'll give you an idea of another fundraiser who has now done multiple raises on the platform.
Hi guys, this is Hitesh Sridhar this side, and we are in Galley Common on our first property development in the UK and England. This is a project which has 5 houses, 4 semis, 1 detached, ready for sales now. The show home is ready, up and going. We've been able to build this in a span of 14 months and 3 days. Got 4, 3, 2 and 1. This is the lounge here, the kitchen there. This is bedroom 1, the bedroom 2. Yeah, this is the 4th bedroom in the attic. I don't think so any one of us was ready for constructing a project ground up during the COVID times, with the shortage of labor. There was COVID, there was Brexit, shortage of material. I think it's an achievement that we've got everything on site, got it installed, and have the project right up and running.
So I think we'll just go on from there. There we go. Yeah, any last minute comments on that from John and Dal before we move on?
It's nice to see Hitesh's attention to detail. 14 months and 3 days. Yeah, absolutely amazing fundraiser. As you mentioned, he's come over to the site a couple of times. 3 or 4 projects that he's now raised with us, and yeah, it's really nice to have him on board. Very friendly, very open to questions with the investors, and yeah, I think certainly the investors have taken and very fond of him. To be fair. Yeah, and yeah, for those that know him, they'll know he does work in days, not just weeks and months. For sure. So John, in terms of this broadcast that we do, again, I suppose it's the end of the year when you review back, not just on the projects that we've managed to successfully help
developers to fund. But when you look back at the amount of speakers that we've had on, so I know we benefit from your knowledge and experience, most weeks, but we really have had a tremendous array of just different professional people from different backgrounds, different experiences in property. But put that together, there's a lot of wealth of knowledge that's been shared in this last 12 months.
There has, and I'm one of those angel investors, so I rather do it from the keyboard, where these are the people who are out making it happen. So it's good to hear from them. It's good to understand what's going on in the market, and also then it becomes an interesting opportunity to say, well, do I like what they're doing? Do I like them? Do I like their project? Do the numbers add up and all that? So the diversity is good. I see that we have quite a little mix when it comes to male versus female. I know women sometimes feel like it's a male industry, and for some reason we're able to attract a number of women when it comes to development projects, and it's an opportunity for them to get funding, which is essentially a non-traditional route at this stage.
Mm-hmm. So just to give a quick shout out to the ones here, this is Ed and Miles Morgan, who we just saw their projects in Bristol. Mark Fernahow is involved down in Cornwall, an ex-car dealer turned property developer, and is a very interesting sort of residential to commercial strategy down around Cornwall. This is Rosie and Tyler from Newman Rose, Bill Patel. This is Atesh's business partner, Ray. Alex Impey is involved in co-living on some big projects on that. Angus is heavily involved in the education space, as well as being a property developer, but also used to work for the FCA as an enforcement officer. Rachel is involved with Target 5 as a strong social media presence, an ex-accountant, and is very much learning about doing JVs and obviously how she can leverage social media and her high profile in terms of investors. Akin and his friends run a podcast, particularly aimed at the younger generation, Generation Rent, and trying to educate them in terms of property investment. Adam Vickers, it's Reading, John, is it? He has his own
Correct.
Monthly meet, Reading.
Correct.
And then Susie Jenkins is the one behind the Old Woolen Mill project. Again, very interesting background in property. And then last but not least, Mr. Dan Taylor, who comes on from time to time. We always appreciate Dan giving of his time. Very sort of expert and sought after speaker in the world of commercial. So a brilliant array of speakers, and it's just fantastic that people are willing to come on and help us. And the big thing is all these people and their broadcasts are on our YouTube channel. So we have this education channel. We've been tidying it up and putting things in segments, but literally it must be something like, John, 120 pieces of content now over almost 2 years on our channel. I mean, it's just frightening to think the amount of knowledge somebody could learn if they took time to go through these broadcasts.
It's not frightening to me. This is part of the benefit of us getting up and putting it out there and letting people then comment. And folks that are listening either to the recording or live, you can influence what we cover in the future by just sending in your comments, sending in your questions, letting us know what projects you want to know about or topics, and we can make the appropriate introductions and then interview someone.
Yeah. Okay. So last couple of slides. So Dal, briefly just take us through the platform data. Our Chief Operating Officer, Tony Alner, puts these together. So now I'll pick a couple of quick highlights out, Dal, just regarding our current investor base. You're obviously talking regularly to investors and getting feedback from them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the data there, it's interesting to see the kind of the age demographic. When I speak to investors on a daily basis, really different reasons on why they may have come over to the platform. Some for educational purposes, others looking to get onto the property ladder at some stage of their kind of career, or maybe a sideline that they're looking to do, and others simply high net worth and kind of sophisticated investors that potentially looking for passive income. So there certainly is a wide range, if you like, and a lot of uses or different uses of the platform. So obviously on average deal size 128,000 average investors, 6,281 per value. Over 42 investors have multiple deals with us, which is great to see. And as you can see from the figures, you know, we were significant traction over the last year to 2 years now.
Yeah, and in terms of we've actually got more than 50% of our investor base is actually designated as retail or restricted in terms of the FCA designation. However, 74% of our invested funds, you know, comes from high net worth and sophisticated, and that's not unusual because the retail investors will tend to invest a smaller amount, but it is good that we're accessing this retail audience, which is very much what the education is about.
I think it's a roaring success because it gives opportunities for people who wouldn't otherwise be able to look at deals. I mean, it's not quite legal for people to see deals if they're a retail investor unless they go through a platform. And here's an opportunity to see multiple different deals, and they can pick and choose to put in what should be considered tiny amounts of money at £100, less than the price of a course in most cases.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, John. And really, this is I think what motivates me and what I find so exciting about property crowdfunding platforms is we really are democratizing property investment. We're allowing retail restricted investors to access properties that perhaps in the past you only could see if you were a high net worth sophisticated investor. So we also offer that path because a retail investor can invest in a number of deals and then become a sophisticated investor. So that's again one of the benefits of the platform. So yes, Dal, thanks for that. And again, I think the 42% of investors that have invested in more than one deal is very significant, given that people have been happy to invest in multiple deals as they wait for their first investment to actually mature. And I think that's significant that we're doing something right and our investor base enjoy engaging with us. So just really wrapping up here, just giving an idea of we're now up to 16 deals funded in the platform. We've raised 2.4 million for projects to allow them to start. We've enjoyed really good momentum in terms of what we did in 2020 and now what we have done in 2021. We've actually lost people who register for a weekly broadcast. They don't all attend obviously on a given day, but over 300 people are registered for our weekly broadcast. And really this has all been done in the last 2 years after our pre-launch. Really January 2020 is when we really kicked the company off in real time. So yeah, really excited by what we've managed to achieve in the last year in our journey so far, and looking forward to really growing it. One of our big competitive advantages, and I want just to mention this, in terms of the projected return on investment of our investors, and this was an independent report done by BrickApp. You can see there their 2021 report. The average return on investment for our platform, according to them, is 20%. So looked at all our deals, and we are higher than any of our competitors. Now, a lot of these competitors are peer-to-peer platforms, so naturally their return is going to be lower. But because we do planning uplift projects, which can be 45, 50% potential ROI, that then brings our average up. So I know, John, so the stats can be taken all different ways, but I'm certainly glad that we do have that competitive advantage. And those who wish to look at the risk reward profile, we can certainly offer them a higher than average return than competitors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risk-weighted average, or I'm not quite sure how they did the algebra, but essentially it shows that there's a variety of deals on the platform, and some of those do have higher returns than as you said, David, they are generally planning deals. Even the development deals, though, tend to be in the 19, 20, 21% range, right around that mark, maybe 25. So that should, in this sense, push you up, because the peer-to-peer lenders are all first charge lenders. They're competing against other first charge lenders, which should be in the 7, 8, 9, 10, 12%, maybe a little bit higher, but you know, that lower number, and people have to understand the risk they're taking. If you're in equity and you're behind the lender, that is definitely a different risk position in the capital stack.
Yeah, so that gives us that. So in terms of where we're heading early part of next year, we have another deal just finishing off, private deal finishing off at the minute. The staff are working on before Christmas, but this is what's on the way. There's already this one here, View Deal, which is the William Street, Herne Bay. Ken, so you can actually download the equity offer document for that one, and view that one. Starting at the left, we just rushed through this morning to get this on the slides. This is from PLMD developers based up in Stratford, and they have a project which actually John's interested because it's an income project. They have a Becontree in Dagenham. They built this a few years ago. It's fully let. They have, I think it's 3 years of rental history,
Okay.
and they're going to sell shares in the SPV and let people share the rent, the actual rental income. So that's an interesting one because it's a bit different than just the normal ground up development type projects.
This is one of the advantages of the platform. You have diversity of projects. If you want planning, if you want development, if you want income stream, you can decide what the mix is. You might want a little of all, you might want only income. Fine, well, there's an income project, and you read the documents. You do have to understand the details and who the people are and what the numbers are, but there's a diversity of opportunities for people to look at. The other one on the view deal one, which is interesting, is it gives people an opportunity to provide some feedback and say, hey, I'm interested. I can post questions in the forum. I have this concern or that concern, but if it goes forward, I want to be notified. So, register my interest. Here's a soft pledge of something I'm thinking of investing, no commitments. But it gives the early feedback, early sort of communication going between the party bringing the project forward and the parties that might be interested in it.
Mm-hmm. And then the other two then that are being prepared as well is a commercial or mixed use project down in Bognor Regis by Target 5. They have a project, West Buildings, which is due to pay out next Monday at this stage. And then they have another project ready to go. So if investors are comfortable with the project that they've just concluded on and paid back on, investors have the option to potentially invest in their next deal. And also then another one from HITACHI and Creation Tech is his next project been lined up as well. So lots happening behind the scenes. We're getting ready for an exciting Q1 of 2021 and so much more things happening. So yeah, just looking forward to a fantastic 2022. But before we worry about that, we're all going to go and have a nice Christmas. So just remains for me to thank everyone for your support this year. I know some people are hardly ever miss these broadcasts and other people get on when they can. And we enjoy getting feedback from people. But just on behalf of all our investors, our fundraisers, obviously directors, advisory board members, staff, I just want to wish everyone a happy Christmas and a very prosperous and peaceful and healthy new year. So any last minute comments, John, from yourself or Dal?
No, yeah, Merry Christmas, and I look forward to speaking with everyone next year.
And John?
Just take the opportunity over Christmas to read up on things, and when you're bored or trying to kill time so you're not in someone's way, then just peruse the information, sort of figure out what these things are about, these opportunities. And if you have questions, use the forum. People will be active.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dal. Thank you, John, for today. And wish everyone again just a brilliant end of the year. And we'll see you all sort of probably I think it's the 13th of January, second, third week of January. We'll be back with our broadcast. Take care, everyone.
Second Thursday in January is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I think it's the 13th from memory, just top of my head. So it's the second Thursday in January. We'll be back, but there'll be obviously notification will go out early in the new year. So all the best, everyone. Have a great rest of the year.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.